Welcome to the Central Alabama High School Sports Show podcast, brought to you by Andrew Sports Medicine, Land of Frost, Hamburger Heaven, Huffman Electric, and State Farm.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Snapper Lancaster, welcoming you to another edition of the Central Alabama High School Sports Show. Different high school, different coaches, different athletes this week. This week we're coming to you from Pleasant Grove High School on the western side of Birmingham. Everybody in the area is familiar with it, but we're seen all over the state, so just wanted to know where we're at here. Visiting with us in the opening segment, we got the athletic director from Pleasant Grove High School, Darrell LeBeau. Coach LeBeau, good to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
And as we get this interview started, Coach, tell us a little bit about your background. I know you're the athletic director plus head football coach.
Yes, sir.
I know of, and a whole lot of other duties. So tell us the avenue you took to get here to Pleasant Grove High School.
I'm actually a graduate from Pleasant Grove High School, graduated from here in 2003. Had the privilege to play underneath Coach Keith Luker. The head football coach prior to me getting here was Jim Elgin. He was actually the defensive coordinator when I was here. Another great mentor in his coaching business. I was at Shays Valley 3 years, Bessemer City prior to that, and I was underneath Coach Bill Smith over at Shays Valley and Mumford High School as the offensive coordinator. And I was hired here as the head football coach June 18th this past year, and it's been a blessing. It's been awesome. It's been fun so far.
Well, I was going to say too, Coach, not only with those blessings come responsibilities.
Yes, sir.
Talk about the transition not only from being a coach of a sport, but also overseeing the athletic department.
Time management. If I can get anything back, that would be more time. Just being able to manage your time and understanding that, you're kind of the face for multiple sports. And you definitely want all sports to be successful, not only the sport of your concentration. So you definitely want to push every coach in order for them to push their athletes, because we got to understand that we represent Pleasant Grove High School, not only the high school, but also the community.
Well, now I know that y'all are in a new school. I tell you what, like we talked about earlier, I'm from way back in Jones Valley days, and now you see so many new, beautiful high schools, and with all the facilities you have. And I guess it's a challenge, like you talked about, and I wonder about it, how you handle that, going from one sport to multi-sports and trying to satisfy a lot of coaches instead of one coach.
Yes, sir. It could be a challenge. One thing about here at Pleasant Grove High School, as far as the coaching community here, we communicate well with each other. We all on the same page. There's no egos. There's no one person bigger than this person, anything like that. So if we have to come to the table and have some discussions about making changes, everybody's always on board, and everyone is helpful for each other. And that kind of makes the transition into one sport, and it makes it a whole lot smoother.
Well, and not only that, I imagine the morale of the whole student body, the whole school, is a lot of times is connected into how well our schools do or don't do. And I know you talked about your sport, and of course, if we're fortunate enough, we may see you this fall. We just don't know how that might line up yet. But being the head football coach, what kind of season was your first season, and what are you looking toward here for season number 2?
This past year we went 9-3. Had the privilege to play in the second round of playoffs. Lost out to Demopolis, 21-14, and it was close. A great game, great atmosphere. Expectations coming to the season, I don't even know we was picked to make the playoffs. From whoever they are that pick. This upcoming year, we have an opportunity to be pretty good. Of course, we have to work. We have one of the top linebackers in the state with over 20 Division I offers. Actually, I have an offer from Auburn and Ole Miss, Mississippi State, to name a few, Tennessee. So we have a younger class that we're looking to mature a little bit this year, and it's going to be a challenge. I mean, 5A football in Alabama is tough, week in and week out. So.
Well, that's a synopsis of what might be lying ahead for you. As far as other sports, is the sports picture here at Pleasant Grove overall good? You have outstanding coaches, I'm sure, outstanding talent. Hope that there might be some successes in other sports as well.
Definitely. I mean, and we have our challenges. Basketball team this year did well. There's number 4 team in the state. In the region, you had the top 4 teams in the state in one region. So that was pretty tough losing out. We actually had the fastest kid in the state, Caleb Jackson, that ran 10.46 last year. He's trying to repeat and win the 100-meter dash and the 200-meter dash at state this year, so it's going to be a challenge.
Well, I tell you what, Coach, first of all, it's awfully good to meet you. I'm familiar with your background, your dad's background, and all, and it looks like you're making a name for yourself, and that's what it's all about. But not only that, the position that you hold, good luck to you and to all your sports involved here. And we'll look forward to seeing you down the road. We're going to be visit with some of your coaches and athletes.
Yes, sir.
But awfully good to see you.
I appreciate you having me.
Okay, folks, we'll take a quick break. We come back, our first coach of the evening. Don't you go away. We'll be right back.
You know that you're blessed. Give your taste a whole new spin. Bring your friends and come on in. Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven.
Land of Frost Premium is America's best-selling 1-pound deli pouch, now available in 12 delicious flavors, including new flavors of mesquite turkey and cotto salami. High school athletes across the country ask for Land of Frost by name. These great items are available at your local grocer, including Piggly Wiggly, Food Giant, Western supermarkets, and many more. Land of Frost also makes other varieties of lunch meats, including deli shaved bistro and sub sandwich kits. Land of Frost is a proud sponsor of youth sports as well.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, we partner with our patients, trying to help them overcome the obstacles that keep them from achieving their goals.
This practice aggressively pursues victory over injury, over pain, over limitation, over anything that's going to keep you from being the best you can be.
It starts with our non-surgical physicians who are trained in sports medicine, orthopedic injuries. We have specialists in sports medicine, shoulders, elbows, and knees. We have hip specialists that do only hip surgery, including arthroscopy, minimally invasive resurfacing, and total hip replacement if needed. We have joint replacement surgeons. We have spine surgeons. We have surgeons that specialize in foot and ankle surgery and in hand surgery. So just about all the specialties of orthopedics are covered at Andrew Sports Medicine.
What makes the great surgeons great is their volume of experience at making decisions, whether that's intraoperative decisions, post-operative decisions, pre-operative decisions, the decision to operate on somebody or not operate on them. And so our volume here breeds good decision making. That gives us an edge in terms of making decisions for our patients, which ultimately is a lot of times the difference between success and failure. The teams, the players, the parents have confidence in us because they know we're going to communicate with them, we're going to create a plan unique to that athlete or that person, and we're going to get them back to their thing and as quickly and as safely as we can.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, our mission is to partner with our patients and to help them succeed and achieve victory. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a grandparent with a shoulder problem, or a professional athlete, you get the same care, the same high-level technology, the same aggressiveness that we would in a professional athlete, and we treat everyone the same way. None of us like to lose. We're all very competitive, and we're not going to lose against their illness or their injury.
And folks, welcome back. You can tell my first guest of the afternoon, and that is Coach Derek Albee, the baseball coach here at Pleasant Grove. And Coach, as we get this interview started, tell us a little bit about your background. What has led you to be the head baseball coach here?
Okay. Well, I played baseball all through life. Went to a couple good colleges and played there. And, you know, baseball has just always been a part of my life. And I guess the biggest thing that led me to coaching was once I got out of college and started working, I realized my favorite part of my job was actually training other people and helping them get better and improve and get promoted and things themselves. And then my wife's a teacher and all that, and that just seeing what she did just kind of clicked with me, and I realized, you know, this is where I want to be, working with these young men and helping them out.
Is your background, or are you from this area?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Where did you go to high school?
I went to Hueytown, ended up graduating from Pelham, but I went to Hueytown for most of it.
Oh, okay. Well, now, going into this year, what kind of season did you expect from this group, and how has it unfolded so far for you?
Didn't really have, you know, a set of expectations going into the group, going into the season. I guess my biggest thing that we wanted to accomplish going into it was just establishing a work ethic, establishing the way that we're supposed to play baseball, and working to get there. And that's really what we've done all year. We've gotten better as the year goes on. We've had our struggles, we've had our great times. We're learning from all of it. So, just seeing our guys from where we started to where we were, just up to yesterday, how much we've improved and how hard they're working has just really been, the kind of the goal of the season and what we're building upon.
And so, now how long have you been here?
This is my 4th year here, my 1st year as a head coach.
Oh, okay. So have you been, was an assistant baseball coach?
Yeah, I did middle school for 2 years, then I was an assistant with the varsity for a year, and then moved up into the head coach this year.
And so this year, has it turned out to be the type year that you had hoped it was? And one other question I always like to ask head coaches too. Were you the one that made the schedule?
I inherited most of it this year.
Okay.
I inherited the team was already chosen, and the schedule was 90% made. So I inherited most of it this year, and it's fine. It is what it is. And
well,
when
you go, because next year you'll be deciding
Yes, sir.
what's on that schedule. And what I like to talk to some of the head coaches about, are you one of these coaches that likes to schedule teams, one, that maybe your team ought to be, and two, ones that probably pretty even with your team, and then thirdly, a team that you would have to really play your best baseball to beat them. And there's a reason for that, because sometimes there's such thing, in my opinion, as a good loss. If you play somebody really good and you play them close and you still lose, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But how do you feel like you want to work your schedule? If that's the wrong term to use, I apologize, but it's sort of like you want to find out sometimes through the season how your team is progressing. That'd be one way to do it.
Right, and we try and fill our schedule with the second two types of games that you mentioned. Guys that are going to be about even with us, and then teams that we're going to have to play above, to compete with them. And my message to the players this year has been basically, we're going to work as hard as we can. We're going to go out into the game and control what we can control and play our best and just see how it stacks up against the other teams. And, when you do that, you're going to beat the teams that you should beat. Right. And, the teams that are even with you, y'all are going to fight. And, you're going to have a good, hard game. Then the teams that are above you, if we can't beat them, we're going to try and make them tired. And we're going to play our hardest and see how it comes out.
What's your team record thus far?
We are 7-17. 7-14.
Well, then how about in the area?
In the area, we're 5-0.
So, and that's the most important thing.
Yes.
I mean, you want to win them all if you can. That's the goal of every coach and all your athletes. So you're going to be in good standing for the playoffs. Do y'all play? You have a 4-team region?
Yes, sir.
Where you have to play them twice each, right?
Yes, sir.
So you'll either be number 1 or number 2,
right.
which means I guess that you would host the.
Yeah, if we clinch the first spot, we'd host the first round.
Well, and another thing that I always talk with coaches about too, and we're curious how you would talk about your team here. I think it's the goal of every coach to have his team peaking come playoff time. First of all, have you had an injury bug that's affected your team thus far this year, or is your team progressing along just about the way you'd hope they would?
Yeah, luckily we've been injury-free for the most part. We've had some bruises and things like that, but nothing that's kept anybody out for any significant period of time. And we're definitely getting better from where we started. And we challenge our guys. This year we've played, the majority of our teams have been bigger schools than us, more players on the team and all that kind of stuff. And, it's really conditioned us to when we got into area play where they haven't run anything out there we haven't seen before. And we've played great during our area and great against, the teams that we should be playing great against, and we've really progressed and gotten better, and it's just been a joy to watch them this year.
Well, I know another thing that's very important for a head coach of any sport, but the relationship with the community and the parents. What kind of year has that been for you in that situation?
Well, it's been about what we expected on that end of it, and that's something that we're always trying to do is reach out to the community, reach out to the parents, and get people to the game supporting these kids. And the parents have been great. We have a good handful of them that come and help every single game, do everything they can. And, you can never have enough of it.
Right.
And that's the message out there to those guys is we need all the help we can get with everything that we're trying to do here.
Well, another thing is, as we get close to the end of the interview, talk about your team as far as your offense, your defense, and of course, probably almost every coach in baseball feels like his most important thing is pitching, whether they've got it or not. Talk about those aspects of this year's team.
Offensively, we're a very solid team. We hit the ball well. We put it in play a lot. We don't strike out that much, and we have a good amount of team speed. And that's really where we manufacture a lot of runs, getting guys on base and getting them to second through a steal, and then getting them over and getting them in. Defensively, we have some struggles at times. But for the most part, that's the area that we've improved the most. And it's been good to see that because that's what wins us ball games. And that's what I tell them. If we can hold another team to 21 outs, we got a really good shot. Right. That's when we start giving them the extras that we start running into trouble. And as far as the pitching goes, our guys are doing everything on the mound that we ask them to do, and that's throw strikes and give our defense a chance. So as long as they're throwing strikes and letting the team put the ball in play and we're playing solid defense behind them, those are the games that we've come out on top of the best.
As you've gotten closer to the final end of the season, is your team playing its best baseball right now?
Yeah, absolutely. We played our best game last night in our first area game against Parker, and it was just the best game we played. It's probably the first complete game we've played all year where we played all three aspects, to the best of our abilities.
Well, I tell you what, Coach, as we end this interview, the one thing that coaches always like is to play for championships. And as the old saying goes, somebody's got to win it. It might as well be us being Pleasant Grove. I wish you all the luck in the world.
Appreciate it.
And may you and your team do some real damage in the playoffs.
Thank you very much.
We're going to take a quick break. We come back, a couple of athletes very instrumental in the outstanding playoff part of the season they're having so far. We'll be right back.
Post-operative decisions, pre-operative decisions, the decision to operate on somebody or not operate on them. And so our volume here breeds good decision making that gives us an edge in terms of making decisions for our patients, which ultimately is a lot of times the difference between success and failure. The teams, the players, the parents have confidence in us because they know we're going to communicate with them, we're going to create a plan unique to that athlete or that person, and we're going to get them back to their thing and as quickly and as safely as we can.
At Andrews Sports Medicine, our mission is to partner with our patients and to help them succeed and achieve victory. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a grandparent with a shoulder problem, or a professional athlete, you get the same care, the same high-level technology, the same aggressiveness that we would in a professional athlete, and we treat everyone the same way. None of us like to lose. We're all very competitive, and we're not going to lose against their illness or their injury.
And this will be your premium right here.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say, I combined home and auto with State Farm.
Saved $760.
Love this guy.
Okay, does it bother anybody else that the mime is talking? Freaky.
Bundle home and auto, and you could save $760.
That's 760 very good reasons to call Alan Gurdeau in Trussville today.
And folks, welcome back. You can tell I got two outstanding young athletes sitting beside me. Closest, Isaiah Glenn, a junior, third baseman, right? And then Mason McKinney, a sophomore pitcher, first baseman. So, guys, as we get this part of the show started. Isaiah, we'll start with you. How many years you been playing baseball?
Since I was 4 years old.
Oh, really? You've been playing a while. All right. Do you participate in any other sports here other than baseball?
No, sir.
Okay, strictly baseball. Going into this season, what were your goals personally for you, and what were you hoping for your teammates?
Just the progression we had last year and make the playoffs again, and hopefully get past the first round.
Oh, okay. Mason, being a sophomore, you play any other sport other than baseball?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Going into this year, what were your expectations for yourself and also your teammates?
Well, just basically to, like what Isaiah said, to make it to the playoffs, make it past what we did, progress in, every aspect of play, make every play, try to make extra plays, get my batting average up, try to get more base hits, and just basically be better than what I was last year.
Yeah. Well, a question I always enjoy asking young athletes, and we'll start with you, Mason. If you could pattern your game after a good college player, a good pro player, who would it be?
My pro player that I'd go for is Jose Altuve, second baseman for the Astros.
And a little guy that plays a big game, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, how about you, Isaiah? Is there anyone that you would like to play like or wish your game was like?
Javier Baez, shortstop for the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, guys, we talked with the coach about this, and so I wonder how you feel about it. Do you talk about, at this point in the season with the playoffs, are you guys playing your best baseball?
I think we are. At the beginning of the struggle, trying to find what we needed to do, find a rhythm, but now we finally got that rhythm, chemistry, everything's all cylinders. I think we'll have a good chance in the playoffs.
Have you played on the baseball team here a few years?
Yes, sir.
Okay, when you see that schedule, what team jumps out at you that you look forward to playing, or who is your biggest rival, neighborhood rival?
Probably Hueytown.
Really?
Hueytown.
Okay, and in Hueytown, through the years, I know they've had good baseball programs. You probably know people that play there, right?
Yes, sir.
So that makes it a little more interesting. How about you, Mason?
Probably for me is Mortimer Jordan.
Really? Mm-hmm. Do you know people from there, or just?
I know their head coach.
Oh, okay. And did y'all get a chance to play them?
We played them twice this year.
How'd y'all do?
Well, the first time we didn't do so well because at the time we wasn't playing like ourselves. We had to, we recapped on stuff during practice and got better for the second time. The second time we held them to 5 or 6 runs in the first game, and 6 and 7 runs in the second game we played them. So.
Wow. Okay. But the thing about it, and the coach and I were talking about it, you guys feel like you're playing your best baseball right now?
Yes, sir.
Athletes, we're a funny group. We're very superstitious, and we have some funny reasons why we do funny things. But if I were to ask you, Isaiah, is there any superstition that you might have?
Don't step on the white line during pregame.
Don't step on the white line, okay, before the game starts. How about you, Mason?
When I'm up to bat, I draw a cross before I get in the batter's box, and when I'm on the mound, I draw a cross, and then I write 413 on the back of the mound.
Really? Well, now, and whatever we do, if we're a little bit superstitious like that, we feel like it gives us some type of advantage, right? I got news for you guys. It don't help a bit. And what I mean by that, because I was superstitious too, but you know what it really boils down to is what y'all do on the field. And a lot, it's your ability more than superstitions, but I can understand that because I think that we all have them. Now I know 2 things about you before we sit down and talk. One, that you're academically strong athletes, because if you don't qualify in the classroom, you don't make it to the baseball field. And that you're outstanding baseball players. Now, what I want to know, there's a lot of pressure to do good in the classroom, even maybe more pressure to do good on that baseball diamond. So what do you do, and we'll start with you, Mason, what do you do to relax during the week to take some of that pressure of the books and the baseball diamond off of you?
Basically what I do is I get on YouTube and I watch baseball videos of my positions that I play. I mean, that relaxes me, trying to watch pro players make, highlights of their positions, pitchers throwing no-hitters or perfect games. just stuff like that.
And one thing about it, this technology that we have nowadays allows us to do things we could never do in the past. You can pull up stuff every day where you might be lucky if you got it once or twice in a year. So from that standpoint, that's great. How about you, Isaiah?
If I'm not watching baseball, I'm probably hanging out with my friends, just relaxing, or I'm just at home watching TV or listening to music.
Well, and that might come under this question too. Do you have any hobbies or anything that you like to do that might surprise us? Really?
It's not baseball. I'm probably at home.
Oh, okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. How about you, Mason?
I like to hunt. I like to fish.
Really? So that takes you away from the books and the diamonds. Nature, getting back to nature, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, going into this year, were y'all's expectations? It's like you sort of started off a little bit rocky, but now you've sort of righted the ship. That's got to make you feel a whole lot better heading into the playoffs. Talk about it from the mental aspect, Mason. You know, you got to go out there on the field and perform, but a lot of it's mental too, and getting ready mentally.
Right. The game's 90% mental, 10% physical. If your head's not in the game and not where it should be, you're just going to be a head case. Like if you go up to bat and you strike out and you're just thinking about that, you're not going to do well in the field or you're not going to do well pitching. So you just have to clear your head about every error you make and just make the next play.
Yeah, well, you're right about that. And Isaiah, do you have any thoughts on that line?
Like what Mason said, you can't focus on the big stuff because later in the game you still got to make another play. Still plays to be made. You got the rest of the game to make up for what you did earlier.
Yeah. Well, now, I know the coach and I talked about it, and I think you guys feel the same way. You've got to feel good. One, you got a big playoff win under your belt. So that's got to make you feel even more confident, if that's the best word to use, to go into the next game that all we got to do is perform like we did the other day, and we'll be good. So with that mindset, it sounds like, Mason, you and your team are at a good place right now.
Yes, sir.
And Isaiah, you satisfied with what's going on with you? And if you're playing well, it makes you look forward to the next opponent, right?
Yes,
well, guys, it sounds like y'all are at a good place for not only each other but for your team, and that you've got a chance to do some real damage in the playoffs, and we hope you do. Very last question we got, though. To this point in your young lives, and we'll start with you, Isaiah, who's been the most inspirational person or persons?
My mom.
Your mom? Mom's always there whether we do good or we do bad.
Yes,
Mom's still there, right? How about you, Mason?
My mom and my dad. My mom, she comes from she takes care of me when I struggle and stuff. My dad, he taught me how to play baseball since I was 5. So.
Well, I tell you what, guys, family support means everything, and then team unity means everything. It sounds like you and your teammates are at a good place. Wish you all the luck in the world. Maybe I'm going to hoist that trophy at the end of the season, okay?
Yes,
we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, different coach, different players. Don't you go away. We'll be right back.
Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven. A taste of heaven is always best. Now you know that you're blessed. Give your taste a whole new spin. Bring your friends and come on in. Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven.
The next time you need electrical work, whether it be commercial or residential, you need to call Huffman Electrical Contractors, a company that's been in business for over 35 years. They've served clients not only locally in the Birmingham area and all over the state, but have clients outside the state of Alabama as well. Whether it's a new building or remodeling an older building or home, they can handle the job for you. Once again, that's Huffman Electrical Contractors. The number to call is 205-661-5005. That's 205-661-5005. We're at Huffman Electrical Contractors. A satisfied customer is always their #1 objective. And folks, welcome back. As you can tell, another outstanding coach sitting beside me, and we're talking, of course, with Jason Ford. And Coach, As we get this interview started, tell us a little bit about your background and how you've ended up being the softball coach here.
Okay. Well, I've been at Pleasant Grove this is my 10th year. I've been, like we just talked in the break, I've been on the show a couple times. I coached basketball here for several years. I coached tennis here for several years. I left Pleasant Grove a few years ago, went to Helena High School when they opened. And I was there for a little while, and I got into softball about 4 or 5 years ago when I was teaching at Oak Grove. Just kind of fell in love with the sport, and so one thing leads to another, and job opens up. I feel like I'm ready to take the reins, and so it just worked out for me.
When you say softball, have you been involved with baseball in the past too?
Never coached baseball. I played baseball, but I've never coached baseball.
Okay, well then this would be an interesting question. Because you don't think about it sometimes, but guys that I have had coaches on here, baseball and softball, or vice versa, But what is the biggest difference in coaching young male athletes and female athletes?
A lot of times I try to just coach the athlete. I've coached, girls sports for the majority of my 16 years in coaching, so a lot of times I don't know that I could put a tangible difference per se. I can tell you that of all the girls teams that I've had, 90% of the time it's a little bit easier for the girls to buy into the team aspect.
Well, now let me ask you this: if this is part of that 90%, it seems like to me the young ladies are more technical minded.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes.
Like basketball, for instance, the boys play above the rim. For the most part, the ladies play below. They play what I call basic, pure basketball, where the guys are trying to make highlight reels.
Right,
you know what I'm
right.
saying? And the physical difference has a lot to do with that. Mentally, they're all athletes. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, and so how many years is this with the softball team?
This is my first year.
First year,
as a
okay.
softball
So
coach.
is that the first year coaching softball, period?
No, sir. This is
Okay,
my
so
fifth
that's
year with
not,
softball.
okay.
Mhm.
So that's, talk about the challenge that you've had with this year's team and what your expectations were. And by the way, what's your record right now?
We are probably 5-20,
All right.
5-21.
Area-wise.
We're 4-1 in the area.
So that's the important one we talked about.
Right.
Because that's the one that gets you into the playoffs, right?
Right.
So talk about the beginning of the season, the adjustments and everything you've had to make, and then here at the end of the season, they seem to be playing their best, and I think that's what every coach wants, right?
Absolutely. I think, we started the year, we were kind of searching for an identity, what we wanted to be as a team. We replaced several seniors off of last year's team. So we have, one of our biggest challenges that we dealt with this year was just youth, having
Young
middle
team.
school kids in the lineup, 1 to 9. And just watching them grow and develop and improve has been a real joy for me to be able to see. Like I said, we started off the season kind of rocky, but we've played, I think we've played about 13 ranked teams. We've played a devil of a schedule.
And I was going to say, too, on one hand, you feel like that's a negative, tough part.
Right.
But on the other hand, if your team can survive it
Right.
and grow and get better during the season, which it sounds like that's what your team has done.
That's what we tried to push for all season was just, try to put a game together, be competitive. Sometimes, and I heard Coach Albee say it, sometimes you almost have to play above where your comfort level is
Right.
to stay in games against some of the top tier teams in the state. And we've been up against it a lot. And I've been real pleased at how much fight we do have.
Talk about your team, the young ladies on your team, pitching, defense, offense. How's the team progressed in all those areas?
All that, all those areas, and for softball, pitching is probably one of the most important, if not the most important element of the game, in my opinion. We've got 2 middle school pitchers and a freshman, and being able to watch those guys improve over the course of the year just to keep us in games has been really fun for me to watch. Defensively, from game 1 to game 26. I mean, you can't even put a mark on just the level of improvement. Offensively, you know, we've gone through ups and downs. We lost our leadoff hitter. She ended up hurting her ankle.
Injury.
And she was also a starter in the outfield, so we've had to shuffle some kids around. But lately, we've done a much better job on the bases, being able to push runs across. Sometimes manufacturing runs is, you know, what you have to do in softball.
Have y'all already played a game, or are y'all fixing to play your first games in the playoffs?
We have not. We still have another week and a half in the regular season.
And so it sounds like to me that your team has progressed probably above what the expectations you may have had for them.
Well, we wanted to be really good at the end of the season. You know, I won't say that we've gone beyond our expectations, and I don't think our players here will either. I think we've got, you know, a pretty solid expectation set of where we would like to go, and it's still a process to get there.
Well, I tell you what, this is a sport too, just like baseball, that one of the most important ingredients is pitching.
Absolutely.
Because as the old saying goes, if the other team don't score or doesn't score much, we got a chance in every ball game, right? So that has to be a strong suit, I guess, as you get down toward here and get ready for the playoffs. Sounds like your team is, for lack of a better way to put it, peaking at the right time, or like you say, still improving. That's what you're looking for.
We're improving, and hopefully we'll be peaking, you know, when the playoffs start. You know, but we've still got room for improvement. We've still got several tough games coming up. You know, an excellent opportunity to get better. You know, across the board, pitching to defense.
So it sounds like from talking with you, you have a young team.
Oh yeah.
And so not only do you have high hopes for the playoffs this year, but next year it's got to make you feel good to know that you're going to have a lot of returning players that's probably got some pretty good talent.
We have no seniors. We have no seniors. We have 3 juniors, and then I think we've got 1 or 2 sophomores, and the rest are all middle school kids.
Wow!
So we've got, you know, the future is bright, you know, but you know we're still trying to enjoy the moment right here, just trying to get all we can out of this season.
And so, do you feel like who you'll probably within 2 or 3 teams, you'll know who you'll probably be playing in the first rounds of the playoffs, right?
Right. Well, softball's a little different. You know, we have the regionals. So, you know, the top teams out of this area will go on to Tuscaloosa, and then there's 8 teams down there, 16 teams down there. So it just turns into a double elimination tournament.
Right.
So we're going to be in there with some tough competition. But when you get to the playoffs, you know, everybody is.
Well, and like you say, too, this may be the wrong way to put it, but you got a season under their belts.
Absolutely.
And now you go in there playing some of your best softball, or your pitching's hot, you always got a chance to do some damage, right?
Absolutely.
Coach, good luck to you and your team, and somebody's got to win that title. Might as well be y'all.
That's what we say to them.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. 2 young ladies, very instrumental in what should be a positive playoff for their softball team coming up. We'll be right back.
And this will be your premium right here.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say I combined home and auto with State Farm.
Saved $760.
Love this guy.
Okay, does it bother anybody else that the mime is talking? Freaky.
Bundle home and auto, and you could save $760.
That's 760 very good reasons to call Alan Gurdeau in Trussville today.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, we partner with our patients, trying to help them overcome the obstacles that keep them from achieving their goals.
This practice aggressively pursues victory over injury, over pain, over limitation, over anything that's going to keep you from being the best you can be.
It starts with our non-surgical physicians who are trained in sports medicine, orthopedic injuries. We have specialists in sports medicine, with shoulders, elbows, and knees. We have hip specialists that do only hip surgery, including arthroscopy, minimally invasive resurfacing, and total hip replacement if needed. We have joint replacement surgeons. We have spine surgeons. We have surgeons that specialize in foot and ankle surgery and in hand surgery. So just about all the specialties of orthopedics are covered at Andrew Sports Medicine.
What makes the great surgeons great is their volume of experience at making decisions, whether that's intraoperative decisions, post-operative decisions, pre-operative decisions, the decision to operate on somebody or not operate on them. And so our volume here breeds good decision making that gives us an edge in terms of making decisions for our patients, which ultimately is a lot of times the difference between success and failure. The teams, the players, the parents have confidence in us because they know we're going to communicate with them, we're going to create a plan unique to that athlete or that person, and we're going to get them back to their thing and as quickly and as safely as we can.
At Andrews Sports Medicine, our mission is to partner with our patients and to help them succeed and achieve victory. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a grandparent with a shoulder problem, or a professional athlete, you get the same care, the same high-level technology, the same aggressiveness that we would in a professional athlete, and we treat everyone the same way. None of us like to lose. We're all very competitive, and we're not going to lose against their illness or their injury.
And folks, welcome back. As you can tell, I've got two outstanding young ladies here who happen to be awfully good athletes. Tamia Wynn, and Tamia, I know you're a junior, right?
Yes, sir.
What grade, what position do you play?
Shortstop.
Shortstop, hey, right in the middle of all the action on that infield. And Sydney Birchfield, a junior.
Yes, sir.
And what position do you play?
Center field.
Center field, okie dokie. Well, girls, going into this season, what did you expect? And we'll start with you, Tamia. What did you expect from yourself and your team?
Well, I expected for us to take a step up from where we were last year. Because last year we made it to the regionals, and I have faith in my team that we'll make it again. And in myself, I just wanted to improve my game.
Okay, and so you sound like you're one of these kind of athletes that at the end of the season you want to be playing your best. Yes. Because that's when we have a chance to do something. Okay, Sydney, how about you?
Well, same thing to me. It said we made it to regionals last year, and I wanted to see if we could make it this year because I know we can. I see it in the game a lot.
Well, as y'all looked at that schedule, both of you being juniors, have you been on the team a year or two?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so when you saw that schedule, and we'll start with you, Sydney, what pops out at you? Which school did you, when you see that, you say, oh, I'm looking forward to playing them more than someone else?
Hueytown.
Hueytown, that neighborhood rival?
Mm-hmm.
You got friends that play over there?
No.
No, it just
No,
happens to be the closest thing to competitors, right? Okay, and how about you, Tamia?
Same,
Same, Hueytown. They've always had good programs through the years, and I guess you feel like, well, we play as well as they do, we're going to be doing pretty good, right? But it's, when you've got a neighborhood rival like that, it's always important when you play them. But girls, one other thing that's important is I know that y'all are good students because if you wouldn't get to play softball. And I know you're good athletes or you wouldn't be sitting here. Now that's pressure on the field and pressure in the classroom, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
What do you do, and we'll start with you, Sydney, what do you do to relax during the week with all that pressure around you at the classroom and the softball diamond?
Well, at practice, I just let it all out at practice. Or just hang out with friends as much as I can.
Okay, and what about you?
It's between hanging out with my friends or just sitting back and listening to music.
Let me ask you this question. Because when I talk to ladies, I always expect this answer, but I hardly ever get it. And that answer is, oh, I'd like to go shopping. You ladies aren't big shoppers?
I am, but it's not my first choice.
Really? Okay. Now, both of you being in the 11th grade, next year you'll be seniors. Now, where do you hope to go to college? Sydney, if you don't get a scholarship, where do you hope to go to college?
Well, I have two, either West Alabama or Mississippi State.
Really? And what kind of courses? What do you hope to do one day?
A zoologist.
Really? Well, then you wouldn't have time to be a softball coach, would you? Or do you think you'd ever want to do that, maybe?
Maybe.
Never know. You know, once you play a sport, you know, you're hooked on it for a while, right?
Yes, sir.
Tamia, how about you?
A couple of my top picks would be between Tuskegee or Auburn.
Okay. If you go to Auburn, I'll pray for you. No, no, that's an Alabama fan saying that. No, great school, great school. What do you hope to do one day?
I want to be a pediatrician.
A what?
Pediatrician.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Not much room for softball there, is there? Maybe not. Okay. Well, listen, girls, as y'all get ready to embark on the playoffs here in the next few days, are you playing your best softball? And we'll start with you, Sydney.
I feel like there's always room to improve myself during softball because you can never stop improving yourself.
Yeah. Well, and one thing about it, you got to feel like in your mind that you haven't played your best yet, and you're going to strive to do that. And I know, girls, y'all have been around the program for a while. One thing about it, have you ever had, after a softball game, some young little girl come up to you and want to hold on to you or shake your hand or hug you or whatever? And if you get a chance to talk to them, what would you tell those young girls that softball has meant to you, what it's meant to you, and why they ought to play it? We'll start with you, Sydney. Is that a mighty deep subject?
That's a mighty deep subject.
It is. I just say, I love it so much, and y'all ought to play it just like me because it's a lot of fun, right?
Right.
Okay, how about you, Tamia?
I would probably tell them, do it to have fun, enjoy yourself.
Well, let me ask you this, girls, because I ask guys this a lot, and I'm curious how you girls feel about it. And we'll start with you, Sydney. Do you enjoy playing at home where you want to win for the home folks? And sometimes you put extra pressure because of mom, dad, and all your friends are there. Or do you feel less pressure on the road where maybe there's not that many people there? And you don't feel the pressure that you've got to win at home. A lot of times I've had athletes tell me they feel less pressure away from home. How do you feel about that, Sydney?
I feel like I have less pressure when I'm at home because then it's my place. I can do what I want, and I can show them what I can do on my own home field.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's an interesting way to look at it because to me that would make that home field advantage more positive in your mind as well. How about you, Tamia?
I feel more comfortable playing at home because you know the field and you know what to expect of yourself.
Yeah, the one reason I think that most athletes that I've talked to that said that they prefer playing away sometimes is because they feel more pressure to win at home because you are there and the family and all your friends are there. And and I've had them tell me that they thought it wasn't as much pressure, So there's evidently two ways to look at it. So is there any softball player that you've known in college or whatever that you thought, boy, that's who I'd like to play like? Do you get to see much softball with the ladies on TV or whatever?
Sometimes whenever I get a chance to watch them play on TV.
Yeah, but it's sort of not like for girls like the baseball is for guys. They see these pro players and all this all the time because a lot of times the exception to the rule is you girls playing softball. And even more of an exception is the softball coaches sometimes. So from that standpoint, once your softball and high school career is over, you may not come this way again. It might be all about what you're looking forward to doing down the road. But the most important thing for you girls now is that the season maybe didn't start off quite like you'd want it to, but you've definitely gotten better as it's rolled along, right? Yes. So you're playing your best softball now. I wish you all the luck in the world in the playoffs because nothing would be finer than you and the coach hoisting a trophy, right?
Right.
But girls, it's awfully good to see you. I wish you all the best of luck in the playoffs. Last question I got, and we'll start with you, Tamia. To this point in your young life, who's been the most inspirational person or persons?
I would say my parents.
Your parents, very supportive in everything we do, right?
Yes.
Okay. And how about you, Sydney?
All my coaches that I've had through the years.
And so they've helped to build you up to make you, because for them you want to be the best you can be, right? Well, girls, you've had a pretty good season thus far. One way to make it a great season is to do some serious damage in the playoffs, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, good luck to y'all. Awfully nice to see you, okay?
Thank
and
you.
Try to bring home state title. Outdo the guys, all right? And folks, we've had another great show. Outstanding coaches, outstanding athletes. And you know, once again, we'll do it again next week. But till then, you know what the snapper always says, bicycle.
Now it's your turn to say it. Say bicycle.
Bicycle.